them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Come on. Bring them out, bring them out. Hey. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Hey. Bring them out, bring them out. VIP coming live from the VIP.
Hey guys, I'm Shelby. I'm doing Top Shelf Sports today. We are going to get started talking about Gator football, Jaguar football, NFL, MLB of course, and the upcoming World Series matchup between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. As if Boston teams don't get enough championships already. We'll see how that goes. I'm interested to see how that turns out. I am your host, Shelby Williams of Top Shelf Sports. I'm a news reporter here in Albany, Georgia, but I'm pursuing my passion in sports, and I love to talk about stats. I love to talk about routes, games. Yeah, Cam Newton. I like routes. Anyway, I also like to talk about anything and everything there is to learn about sports, even more now that I've left the University of Florida. I was a sports reporter at the University of Florida. I had the opportunity to cover Gator football, Gator softball, everything in between. And now I'm just keeping that passion going and getting things up and moving even more than I was before. So first we're going to kind of tackle the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll get straight to you guys. We're going to tackle that elephant in the room. We will talk about Blake Bortles and the fact that, yes, Blake, so sad, you're most likely done for the season, and I'm not sorry about it. I'm going to show you guys some highlights here at some point in that part of the show. We can also kind of discuss how, for now, from what I saw, and I don't know if you guys kind of saw the same thing that I was thinking, the team was so much more energized after Kessler got out there on the field and after he was ready and making those plays, getting us those first downs. We looked like the team that we were at the beginning of this season. We look like the team that beat the New England Patriots. Do I think Kessler could beat the Patriots right now? Probably not. But you know what? He's getting there. And I don't think Blake Bortles could do that again either. Something has happened with our groove that we've had going to where it's just not going to come back at this point, and a change needed to be made. I also want to make sure that we talk about reports of having a fight in the locker room after the game against the Houston Texans, and that was something that really disappointed me. You got to think there's a lot of cocky guys in our team. There really is, and we can't get upset about that because they're cocky because they're good, but at the same time, the Jags, they really need to bring everything back into focus and kind of get real with themselves and realize, hey, we're really not as good as we might think we are. Everyone needs to be humbled a little bit and just relax and move forward from there. Nothing needs to be high-strung. Jags fans have been in it since, how long now? My entire lifetime, pretty much. It's not something that's going to happen quick. And for those of you who are thinking that we were going to a Super Bowl this year, I hate to disappoint you, but probably not going to happen at this point. Not saying it's impossible, unless Kessler or something really does turn around. You never know. And another thing I wanted to add in is we should have won that game against the Texans. We really should have. The Texans had guys tackling their own players, and we still lost. It's one of those things that does happen. Kessler had 156 passing yards. He was 70% completion rate, and he had 1 touchdown and 1 pick, of course. I don't really blame him for the pick, honestly. I can't imagine him taking on that responsibility all in the same time. He has an immense amount of pressure on him right now, as of this point. That is something that is going to fade away with time, I'm thinking. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of their highlights.
Bortles with time. Bortles now is going to step up and keep it, and he falls forward with the ball coming free. Ball is loose.
Reason number 1 why Kessler was put in, and I was so happy that Doug Marrone finally stepped up to the plate and said, something has to change. The fans are pissed. Tom Coughlin's probably pissed. Everyone else is, on edge about everything that's going on with the Jags already. Something needs to be changed. Blake Bortles is not the answer at this moment in time. That fumble should have never happened. There was a lot more problems going on in the game besides that fumble. I think we had 14 dropped passes so far this season. We lead the league in dropped passes by our receivers, by the way, guys. That is not acceptable at this point in the season. What are we, week 8 or something like that? Like, come on, you need to get it together.
Texans indicating they have it, and they do.
But Blake Bortles had time in the pocket. But when he started to scramble, there was a spy, a defender, still there in the way. So Blake Bortles.
On 3rd and 2. Watson rolling out, chased by Fowler, and Deshaun Watson has the first down.
Big top of 75% of the Bengals.
It's 3rd down and 4. Pressure coming from Ngakoue, and Fowler wraps up Watson.
This part, obviously, I'm okay with. Saxonville is still very much alive, but it's only if it's activated on the right day. Every now and then we'll have a certain Sunday where, yeah, we feel like sacking some quarterbacks. But other Sundays, like the last game that we played before this one, unacceptable. I literally watched our defensive linemen watch Dak Prescott run, and they just stood there like this. What are you guys doing? Do not let him get away from you. Dak Prescott is an animal who will get that first down every single time. And just like Deshaun Watson here, he's going to go for it the same way. No problem. Our defense does not need to be sitting around slacking and watching people basically walk to the first down line. That's unacceptable.
Ngakoue coming from the outside. Sack for Fowler since week 2 against the Patriots. Now Fairbairn for a field goal of 44 yards, and it is good. 3rd and 2 with D.D. Westbrook in motion. Bortles, pressure coming. Bortles gets rid of it and completes it. It's a first down and more for Dante Moncrief.
You have J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney on the outside.
On 3rd and 4, Bortles over the middle, incomplete off the hand.
And another thing I wanted to mention, basic receiver drills. That's something that we really need to drill in these next couple of days here before we meet with the Philadelphia Eagles, which will happen in London. And essentially, if you ask me, that's a home game for the Jags. Huge, huge Jaguar fan base out there in London. We're not going to talk about Blake Bortles stats because why? Another thing we need to focus on, of course, people are saying that coaches and other reporters are chatting. What about Teddy Bridgewater? What about Eli Manning? What do you think is going to happen with those quarterbacks? That is a very far out in the future thing to worry about, and I think that should be the least of our worries right now. I say we focus on who we have, try to produce Kessler a little bit more, and if you want Eli or if you want Teddy, go for them, great. But it's going to be a rebuilding period, even more than what we had before. All right, guys, and now we're going to move on to my favorite time of year, Florida, Georgia. I am so excited for this, and I cannot wait to talk about that. I will be down at that game tailgating, having fun. We're going to, set up a tent, all that jazz. We do it every year. Me, my family, my boyfriend, everyone. Speaking of my boyfriend, we're going to give him a call right now because he is the stats pro, and he loves to talk about football stats. So we're going to give Jeremy a call.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
I'm going to move you a little bit closer to the camera here.
Okay. Am I loud enough?
I believe so.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, so Jeremy's here with us. He's on speakerphone, and he's going to kind of help talk to us about our favorite time of year, Florida, Georgia, which I cannot be more excited about. First, I want to mention, Jeremy, of course, UGA is coming off a loss against LSU. That is one thing that concerns me as far as their sake. However, LSU, they're no team to mess around with. And talking about Florida, Florida is 19-7 against UGA since the 90s. So ultimately, they lead this matchup, no problem. However, that being said, of course, Georgia coming off going to the national championship last year. What are some things that you think the Gators need to look out for? What are some stats from Jake Fromm that we need to keep in mind that may be important during the game?
Well, there are a couple of interesting things to look at here as far as numbers go. First of all, you know how I feel about a rivalry is that you can throw numbers out the window in a rivalry game, but
That's true.
if you want to pinpoint who is better, it's actually really interesting. Florida and Georgia are very, very, very similar in comparison to their yards and their numbers this year, which I thought was pretty interesting. When you're comparing quarterbacks, you can obviously see that there's a big problem with Felipe Franks.
Don't get me started.
in comparison to Jake Fromm. So if you go and you look at their stats, looks like Jake Fromm, he's got 66.9% completion this year, whereas Felipe Franks is at a 56.6 completion, which is not good. And Fromm is 99 for 148, whereas Felipe is 103 for 182, and they have the same amount of passing yards, which is very interesting because it's taking Felipe Franks almost 30 extra passes per game to match what Jake Fromm is doing. Rolling out of the pocket, Fromm is averaging 10.1 yards per attempt. So that means that he's averaging, every time he rolls out, he's averaging a first down every time he throws the ball, whereas Felipe is only at a 7.7 at half the yardage and 2 more interceptions.
I think we can absolutely agree that Fromm is the better quarterback here. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the Gators, though, I will say, I have been noticing this season, are much more of a team effort to win games. They don't rely on one single person to really win their games. They really do put forth that team effort. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so I wanted to throw the second stat out here just so you can see a pull away from the quarterbacks here. Is I think that Florida's defense is very close to what Georgia can do because Georgia's defense is allowing only 114 yards, whereas Florida's defense is only allowing 116 yards a game. And the opponents allowed for Georgia, the opponents against Georgia only scored an average of 16.29 points this year, and Florida opponents only allowed 16.57 points this year. So they're very close in the defensive matchup. Georgia's just got that offensive advantage by an extra 5 points per game, which, you know, if Florida can get there, if they can get Felipe Franks to calm down the pocket and throw some accurate passes and get the ground game going, I think it'll be a pretty good matchup.
And also trick plays. I've been seeing from Dan Mullen that he's not afraid to pull out those trick plays, those flea flickers, all types of different plays, and those routes that we don't normally see that everybody really enjoys to see. So I'm excited to see what Dan Mullen has up his sleeve here.
Well, you know, the rivalry game is always the time to pull out the tricks. So, you know, if you want to see your flea flickers and reverses, it's definitely the weekend to do it. And that's how you win games against the rivalries. You got to catch them off guard because, you know, they're spending all week studying every step that you make.
Absolutely. And, of course, if Florida does want to win, get Jake Fromm in a 3rd and 9 or longer situation. You know, he's only 3 out of 20 as far as that goes. That's really one problem that he kind of comes across, which we've noticed. That's one of his weaknesses that we can maybe focus on and move forward from there. All right, Jeremy, anything else you wanted to add about this weekend, this matchup?
Nope, I'm excited to be there and really excited to hopefully see the Gators finally beat Georgia and beat them in the ranks.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks for calling us, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, bye.
All right, guys, and of course, we're going to touch on this last couple of minutes of our show here. We don't want to forget tomorrow, of course, the World Series starts. We have the Red Sox matching up with the Dodgers. You know, I can't remember the last time the Dodgers, it's been, 30 years since they've had a title. And they have been spending, I just read this New York Times article about how much money they really have been spending in all areas of their team. Coaches, players, they're getting whoever they need to get to make sure that they can pull out a win. And the Red Sox are searching for their 4th title in the last 15 seasons. So, of course, the Red Sox are definitely the team that will come and put up a fight, I'm thinking, in my opinion. And that's going to be at Fenway. Game 1 starts tomorrow night. I believe it's around 8:30. Might be corrected on that. I'll give you guys an update on that exactly. And next week, of course, we will have a video that we're going to make this weekend when we go to Florida, Georgia. I'm so excited to meet all the fans. We're going to go around different tailgates. We're going to have beer drinking contests and everything else that you can imagine and think of. And we're going to go interview some fans and making sure that they're having a great time. Come check out our tailgate if you guys are down there. We hope to see you. And of course, next week we'll have a full recap of Florida, Georgia, and we will post all of our videos and everything that we captured while we were there. So I'll check you guys out next time. Thanks for watching Top Shelf Sports. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to my channel. I'm Shelby Williams. I'll see you guys next time.